Okay, welcome to another episode of Coffee and No Code. So here today, I think Nick, this might be your second appearance, if I'm not mistaken, but
Yep.
Nick Gamble's been with us for over 4 years now, and we are only 5 years old, which means I guess you were one of the earliest employees for sure. And Nick, who has taken on many roles at Unqork, in the past year, he's really been taking on the role of, I guess, in one hand, answering and coming up with the craziest ideas we could have of what we could do, the art of the possible, let's call it, of what you could do with Unqork. Because Nick is an engineer by background, and applying that skill with Unqork is deadly, as you're about to see. So, with that said, when we talk about codeless as a service, what it means, a lot of that is about bringing together the best technologies and not not baking that into a single monolithic system, but gluing that together with the understanding that those technologies that are good today might be replaced by something much better tomorrow. So the idea being OCR. We would never bake OCR into Unqork because there's amazing engines already out there you could drag and drop in Unqork, like Eigen. You could use Google Vision. You could use Hyperscience and Arculus have all been used by customers here. And today we're going to use a different one by Amazon called Recognize. So what we did was, I'm sure like many of the audience here, when ChatGPT kind of made the first post a few weeks back, I think I spent the entire weekend talking to it. I got my son spoke to it. And I guess kept trying to test it with many unique ways, like write a poem about my kids. Here's what they're like. I changed the poem to be a Shakespearean play, and it was one of the technologies I would call definitely breathtaking what it could do. And so immediately, what I do is I text Nick. I'm like, hey, what could this chat GPT thing do to Uncork? And you're going to, see so much about this future of AI. And I disagree with many things you hear. So just to be clear, people who talk about, you should be able to speak to the machine and it generates the code and writes the code for you. Or you should be able to tell ChatGPT what you need and it creates the software for you, the application, the code. And my disagreement there is generating code, no matter if it's through voice or intelligence, it's still code. And if you've ever been a CIO or a CTO or managed a team or managed a budget, that code, once it's generated, is as legacy as every other thing in your environment, even if it came from something as advanced as ChatGPT. Code generators are so 90s, maybe even 80s. So you would never use a code generator. And the idea of speaking to a code generator to generate the code, to me, adds no value. But, what if when you spoke to ChatGPT and other solutions like it that will come, it created a codeless architecture, the codeless software as a service layer. And so I challenged Nick. I said, "What could you do with this? We're about to see it real time." I think hit Nick over with another one, which was, "Hey, what is this? What is this thing called Amazon Recognize? It's a vision service, and we played with other ones like it from Microsoft and Google. What does this guy do different?" And then, of course, everyone knows Dolly, which generates creative images. And so with that said, we're about to, you're going to kind of see what life is like in Uncork. So um, I throw these things at Nick, and like a few hours later, I get back, hey, check out what I've done. So Nick, it's really going to be your show from this point forward. The only thing I'm going to say before I hand it over to you is we're going to expect audience participation here. So there'll be a few points where we hope people will suggest ideas and say, what if you said this to ChatGPT or this to Dolly, and see what happens. So with that, Nick, please take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Great introduction. And look, I mean, Gary's not lying. Like he will text me, and a few hours later, we'll have something back. And it's always every time I get the notification, whether it's a text message or a Slack, I always get a little bit excited in terms of what the next fun, innovative project was. And this is definitely a fun one. And yeah, it was pretty quick. So let me show it. So let's throw my screen up there. Let's walk through a few of the different things. So as Gary was saying, we've got work with the GPT models, we've got work with Dolly models, and we've got work with Amazon recognition. And I think Gary talked about how you're going to have to compose all these different things together, right? So you have a best-in-class image generator or codeless generator. You have a best-in-class AI that can parse images and compare images and things like that. What if you can just easily stitch the two together in a codeless manner, which is what we've done at Unqork with just a few of our components that you've probably seen in previous episodes. So let's just start with this first. So this is Corky. Now, maybe, working title, we may not keep the name Corky, but, like Siri, Alexa, we got to give our AIs a personality and everything.
It's a good name. It's a good name. It's got the theme.
Right? Yeah, I got to stay on brand. So yes, of course, as it says, you can tell Corky what you'd like it to build. Right. So we've got some examples that we, just to get your juices flowing in terms of not just what you can ask, but also how you can ask it. So one example might be here. I can ask for general things, right? Just a very high level, what I want. I want a movie database, right? So maybe I have a ton of movies and I want to, capture all the movies that I have and catalog my library of movies. So I need to build an application to create my movie database. So this is now sending this information over to ChatGPT, which then does the work for us to understand, well, what is a movie database, right? When it then tells us, well, this is what a movie database is, there it is right there, right? Now we have a working module. It's got validation, everything that you'd expect when you're building codeless architecture and codeless as a service applications, all baked in and also dynamically rendered right on the page. So leveraging some other really exciting new features of the platform to be able to just load this content in on the fly. So it does everything from find the appropriate attributes that you'd want to select about a movie, as well as helping you with things like what are appropriate genres, right? Like not only does it know that you might want to catalog the genre, but also, hey, here's an example of what 10 common genres are of a movie, and then rating. And now from here, I can simply hit build app, which is then going to take that and it's going to create the Unqork application, right? So we'll start with a simple one. We'll get into workflow as we get a little bit later, but let's just take this one simply. Here it is again. And now, of course, if I want to add another field in, I can easily drop in some other field about maybe a link to IMDb. I don't know, right? I can add in new fields and adjust the application I was given. But even without having to do that, I can open this up. I can, put in data. I can start to collect data. It's 2023. This is sci-fi, right? Solid 10. I submit it. And there it is. I mean, the data is there. It works. I'm collecting movies now in a codeless manner just by saying I want a movie database.
I think, Nick, what's funny is it's probably the first HIPAA compliant Privacy 2020 FedRAMP SOC 2 Type 2 Privacy Shield, movie database that's actually ever been created, right? That's exactly what it was just now. And with that said, while Nick's doing this and getting started, feel free to add into the comments any ideas you have or anything. Tell us what Corky should build. I love Danya's dating app, which I don't think I've ever seen. Will it actually work? I've never seen this actually go. So let's give it a shot.
Part of it is just to give it a whirl. I know you've messaged me at one point. You're like, Nick, how do I break this thing? It's like I've been trying everything I can throw at it, and it always gets it right. And look at that. We've got a dating app, right? So my name, my age, my gender, my location, what I'm interested in my bio. All right.
That's
so
insane.
Insane.
Could we combine a dating app? Can you do multiple and say dating app with life insurance? Just to see what happens. I'm dying because you're combining two topics. And no, we did not test this out before, by the way. So please feel free in the comments, throw in anything you want to see. We have from Tom, an applicant tracking system. That's pretty cool. I think we're definitely with this one. There we go. Okay, so here's a preview. It actually worked.
It gave us the same. It gave us the same thing back.
Okay,
so it must not have. It didn't know what to do with that. So I'm sorry. What was the one we saw? An applicant tracking system.
Let's see what it does.
What is that happens there? Applicant tracking system. Fingers crossed. There you go. Okay.
Wow.
Name, email, phone number, file upload components for resume, cover letter, what I'm applying for, years of experience.
So wait, let's bring this one. This is a good one. Tom, thank you for that. Let's bring this into the workflow. And actually, can we build a system from this? Let's have some fun.
All right. So let's build the app.
Because that looks like, to me, that looks like screen one is going to be upload your resume and information.
So let's open up that workflow,
And
right? And there it is. And I'll preview my workflow too. Here we go. So yeah, there's step one of our one-step workflow.
yeah, so let's see, what would be step two? What could be, let's throw something else in there just for fun. Maybe we need a picture of your driver's license. Can we do that?
Sure.
Validate who you are. Let's get some identity creations here before we go forward. Maybe we should ask if will they approve a background check? Let's actually do that too. It's just a little confirmation and maybe a signature that we get from the candidate.
Okay. So if I recall, so we wanted a file for, which is this, your driver's license, you said?
Driver's license, yep.
There we go. All right.
Very cool. Maybe a signature component?
Oh yeah, signature. Okay.
And actually, let's keep going. Let's go for it. Let's throw in a grid, maybe uniform grid, and just say work experience. Let's just actually have two fields for date and employer, or maybe just employer. We'll make it simple.
And you said you want date and employer?
Yep.
Oops. I missed the... All right, so this is employer. And then a date.
That's it.
Call it employer date.
I'm trying to remember how many weeks or months this would take to build even in the HR platforms themselves.
Right.
But let's go. Let's see what it did.
Right. So now we refresh our workflow. Oh, I didn't save my workflow. Added a second step. So of course, all our workflows are versioned. So you have a history of every change you've ever made to it over time. So we went from one step to two. Now I refresh and I should get that. All right, now we've got our two-step workflow here, right? So call this Nick Hoberman. Why not? Nick at Unqork. I'm sure you all could have guessed that was my email, so I don't have a problem giving it away on the internet. My resume.
It hasn't been updated in years, Nick. There's no way you haven't. So we'll just assume that's it. It's
right. Position applying for. It's coming for your job, Gary.
Okay, do it. That's what I put as well. That's good. And
right. Next. So now I'm on page 2. So yeah, so you said our work experience, right? So the employer was Unqork, and we'll just pick today, right? We'll create another one. The employer was, we're on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, and I joined them. Let's just pretend I joined them prior to Unqork. So that would have been back in 2017, I believe, right? Oh, what did I? And I didn't check the right date. 2017, and let's say there we go. Cool, my driver's license. So this will actually be a good segue. I just uploaded my driver's license, or a part of my driver's license, not the whole thing, just a piece of it, to the computer. And I'll show you how that works with recognition in a minute. I can sign here, and voila. You've got your two-step app. Thank you, your application.
That's amazing. So, I mean, those who don't know Unqork, like that's a production-ready app with the security of a banking system and federal government system, and the data is stored, and it's versioned, and you could report on it, and it's all set. So that's pretty insane. Let's keep going, Nick. Have some more fun. Are we doing Dolly next, or are we going into Recognize, or both? What?
Let's do just because you had said that the data is there. There it is, right? So just wanted to show, and that data is then automatically available via API for anyone to come in and use that data in other systems that you may have, start to run analysis against the data. So, there it is, completely API enabled version of all that
It's amazing.
Collected in a prompt. Cool. Yeah, let's do Dolly, right? So Dolly is similar but different, right? So this was, well, actually, I want to jump back to Unqork AI for a second here. because we don't need to go through these examples, but I did just want to, at least show a little bit that, it could be this high level, just, very more general thing like an applicant tracking system, movie database. But let's say you're an Unqork creator, right? You're familiar with Unqork, you're familiar with the components that you're going to need, or even if you're just familiar with, web development in general, the fields you want, the type of field that you want, things of that nature. I don't necessarily have maybe something general that it would understand. You could tell it specifically what you want. So this is where I think AI is going to become super interesting from a software development is the assisted development, right? So I could have opened a new module. I could have dragged a text field in and named it street address. I could have dragged a drop down in, named it state, put all 50 states inside of it. I could have dragged a radio button in, and I could have given the two options of apartment or house, or I can just say, this is what I want, right? And boom, I give it back, right? Again, the state drop down has all the states. This is a radio button. So for those who don't necessarily have something here, but know exactly what they need, just ask it for what you need. You'll get that back as well. Or maybe you've got some old HTML code sitting around. Throw some HTML in there as well. And maybe other languages are going to work. I've only tried it with HTML so far, but who knows? Maybe some other. Now, obviously, that's a front end markup. So it's more likely that it's going to be understood. But there we go. We take the HTML and it renders the Unqork module based on your HTML. So talk about quick migrations off of legacy code and things like that. Give us the HTML. You've got the working application.
I love it. I love it. So Nick, we're jumping over to Dolly. And before you do anything with Dolly, let's get some audience participation. So we need a place where this will occur. We need a place for an image that we're about to draw, or Dolly's going to draw. Anyone text location? And then we're also going to need let's say, a noun and an adjective. I grew up with Mad Libs. And that was my fun thing. My brother and I would sit down and we would do Mad Libs and play the game of like fill in the blank. And, you walk down a blank and you went to here. So let's do Mad Libs and actually get an image out of this. Okay, does anyone suggest a place in comments? Otherwise, we're going to do it ourselves. Let's see. Place. Nothing yet. Let's go ahead. It must just be slow. So I'm going to do the place. Kew Gardens. I love it, Theo. Okay, so we'll do Queens, New York.
Queens, New York.
Actually, do Kew Gardens, New York. Let's see what it says. I'm curious to see what it actually. So let's actually say in Kew Gardens, New York, there was a fill in the blank. What do we got? Anyone? Okay, we got Forest Hills, Madison Square. Nope, let's keep it Kew Gardens. We need a object. There was a blank, a person, a thing, anything. And the next one we'll need is, and this happened. Let's do that.
All right, so we got to fill in the blank, folks.
So we got a cat from Daniel. Let's do it. And what happened to the cat? I think the comments are slow is what I'm realizing, Nick. I'm assuming people are typing and it just takes a while to get here, but they need to replace it with Unqork. And I'm going to make it up. There's a cat, and what happened? A tree fell in front of it. Let's just see what happens.
A cat in Kew Gardens, a tree fell in front of a cat. How about that?
Good. Let's do it. Perfect. So you're going to click go on Unqork. So Corky is going to basically generate an image. I have no idea what's going to happen here. I wonder what it thinks of Kew Gardens.
Yeah.
If we said Flushing, Queens.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So that's actually pretty cool. I have to say that is
amazing.
That is so. So we've got a cat on a tree. Now, what you're now doing is you're going out to Recognize and passing them the image from Dolly all through Unqork and saying, "Hey, Recognize, tell me what's here."
Right. So we basically said, hey, let's stitch together these two incredible AI pieces of software with an incredible codeless platform, right? And this is what we get. So this was the automatically generated image from Dolly, which we then send to AWS recognition. And then what that will do is it'll try to say what's in the image and the degree of confidence. So it's 100% confident that there's a tree trunk tree plant. It's 91% confident there's a cow.
Do you see a cow? I'm looking. I don't know if there's
cattle livestock. I mean, I guess it thinks that's a cow.
It's a pretty heavy cat. It might
Yeah,
be that cat.
it is. It is. This cat's definitely been fed by strangers that it goes around to and
Yes.
the food from.
Yeah.
Cool. What
That
else?
is hysterical.
Vegetarian person, outdoor leaf, city. City. It knew it's city, so it kind of got the building in the back. Panther, closer than a cow, but hey.
Yeah, it's at least cat family. I would go with the panther, but so that is amazing. And so let's keep going. What else were able to do with Amazon and this tool set? Let's
Cool.
see
So
what else.
yeah, that was a good segue into recognition. So when reading about why, some of the many reasons that AWS had built recognition, one of the common use cases they gave is validating identity, right? Something that's extremely important to be sure that someone who's, doing something on the internet on behalf of a person is in fact that person, right? So their example was, hey, why don't you ask someone to upload a selfie of them and ask someone to upload their driver's license? And then we would be able to determine, is the person who uploaded the selfie the person whose driver's license we have? So I said, hey, let's try that. So I grabbed a picture of part of my driver's license, so my face on my New York driver's license. And this isn't a selfie, but this is the image that we, was on our advertisement for this episode of Coffee and No Code. So you can see I grew a little stubble and some, 5 o'clock shadow facial hair there. It's colored versus, grayscale. Hair's relatively similar, right? Very, flat smile in both. But let's see if recognition thinks that I am myself. And sure enough, despite all those differences, it's 99% positive. 90.9% positive that I am actually the person in this driver's license. I was very impressed. And I've done the flip. I've thrown up 2 images of people who are not the same person, and it is very not confident in that. So you could think, it's fun to show here, but you can think about the real world applications about identity management and identity protection, security and validation and things like that you can get leveraging AI, both generating a super secure app, as Gary was talking about, and then layering on additional security mechanisms using AI and Unqork's ability to easily integrate with those.
That's awesome. And the speed of you doing this, as you said, it's a few hours from when I say, hey, what do you think of this and what could we do, till it's here, which is amazing. So to me, that's really the benefit of what you see here.
It's why, truly, you messaged me, I think it was Monday or Tuesday morning. And yeah, I think by lunch, we had all of these detecting labels. So that's what I'm using over here, is the detect labels endpoint. So give it an image and it'll tell you what you think's in it, as well as detecting text. So actually doing text extraction from images to pull it out. So let's even try that. Let me throw my driver's license into, a lot of that text is cut off, but let's see if it can actually, pull any of it out. Yeah, new. Wow, look at that. That's even script. You can see in the driver's license, someone's signature, it actually parsed their signature into text. And then, of course, some things are cut off because my thing is cut off, but it's got my name, right? So incredible stuff.
I love it. That is awesome. And there's definitely some talk here from Evan and others about what color the dress is. I'm not sure I get that, but
right. There was a dress where it was either blue or yellow or something. Like some people would see the dress one color and others would see the dress another color.
Now I get it. Yes. Yeah, which I like it. The technology could finally answer that. Thank you, Danya and Evan. That is awesome. That was so Nick, we're going to have to do this again soon. You want to try it? Let's try. What color is the dress? Let's see what it says. Let's do it.
Right. So here are the images. Right. So I guess I'll take the official Wikipedia one. I'll save it on my desktop. Let's go down here. Let's refresh to clear it all out. And let's see. Oh, that's detect text, detect labels. Let's see if it does anything. It might not even give us a color back, but let's see what it thinks of the dress. See if it says blue or was it blue or yellow? Dress, clothing, blouse, skirt, person, woman. So no, it didn't bother to guess at the color. It was afraid to guess at the color, but it did. Hey, it knows it's a dress. So still cool.
Awesome. So this is absolutely incredible, Nick. We're going to do this again soon because, of course, I'm going to keep texting you these crazy ideas, and and you'll keep delivering against them instantly. So this was so much fun. Thank you, Nick, for joining. Thank you, everyone, for watching and contributing the ideas and playing Mad Libs along with us. We should have called it Mad Libs, I guess, actually. So,
Yeah.
so thank you, Nick, and thanks everyone for joining another episode of Coffee and No Code. And have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Gary. Thanks, everybody.